Hi Scorpio, welcome to your January reading. So, in January, we wait until the 12th. On the 12th, Mars will go direct. On the 18th, Mercury, which is in Capricorn, will go direct. Mars going direct for you, especially if you're a Scorpio rising, it's going to give you a lot of insight into an old love story. Something perhaps you've been trying to articulate within yourself for years. You've had several conversations with yourself about it. But there was always some nugget of understanding or insight that was missing. It's like you just couldn't quite put it to words. You know how you feel. You know how much you went through with whatever it was. But for some reason, you couldn't put words to it. Not enough words to talk to yourself. Not enough words to talk to somebody else. Especially not whomever the person was. But Mars has been retrograde in Gemini for a while now. And it's working on a part of you that has to do with friendships, relationships, just what happens between you and others and the communication lines, how they work, how they tangle. Scorpio doesn't really want to talk about this. I don't know if you can tell from the cards. You guys are not comfortable with reopening this love story, talking about it, thinking about it. It's really annoying because it's like, okay, I'm done with this. I can talk about this with myself all I want, but I'm publicly done with this. I'm never dealing with that situation, that person again. And nothing says you have to. But in your head, you will figure it out. You don't have to do anything with that information. You don't have to go anywhere with it. You don't have to tell anybody about it. You don't have to make yourself vulnerable. It just frees you. And it frees you to look at other people in a much clearer way. Less emotional. You want to cut the fat. You want to cut the fat out of business. You want to cut the fat out of your relationships, out of your friendships. There's like some people around who, I don't know if you should still be friends with them. I don't think you think you should still be friends with them, and yet there they are. Very confusing. So it's a time where you lose a few people because you gain some really cool insight, and also you become a little more time sensitive. There's things you want to do. And you're feeling that finite nature of time right now. And you're wondering to yourself, how much of your time should you be spending with people that just aren't a part of this ultimate goal? It's not that they're bad people. They're not bad friends. But perhaps there's something about their company, the way they think, the way they conduct their own lives, that is not good for you. It's not good for you to be around as an example, but it also brings a weird vibe around you that can make you complacent, lethargic. You know, if someone around you, for example, is cheating on their wife, that's not going to directly make you go cheat on your partner, but it is going to, open the door to some pretty questionable ideas, right? About morality and commitment. And even if you never do anything with it, you're still, you're still condoning the behavior. So there are some relationships around you, not intimate, not romantic, that there's nothing wrong, but they don't fit with your vision anymore. This also applies to employees or It could be a job. You have such a clear picture of what success looks like, and it continues to be refined. And the more you refine it, the more sophisticated that picture and the plan around that picture gets, the more people stick out. Like, oh no, I definitely don't want that person around when I get where I'm going. And there's a finality about your decisions right now. And people are going to want to know why. Yes, you're generally pretty serious, but you're making very serious decisions for the next 3 weeks. And you're doing so without giving a lot of explanation. You're not regretful. You're not afraid. And I think that scares the hell out of people because they want you to give them a little bit of an explanation. They want you to at least try to justify yourself. But it's even more terrifying when Scorpio doesn't want to give you any answers. When Scorpio's like, make up whatever answer you want. I'm going to be hella toxic about this. This isn't good for me. And instead of using my toxic traits to hurt myself, I'm going to use them to help myself. I'm going to use my toxic silence, my favorite form of communication, to just let this situation fade. Why? Because it doesn't suit my larger vision. My path is so clear. I can see the top. And for some of you, you've been trying to drag some people up this mountain towards the star. And they never wanted to go. I think you hid that from yourself for some reason. I think you, I don't know, maybe you thought like on the way they'll change their mind. Or it's just that possessiveness that you have. You just wanted them to stick around. You wanted somebody there with you. So it's even more morally questionable for you to drag them with you, almost make it to the top of the mountain, and then be like, our journeys are taking us in different directions. But that is your energy right now. And it is true. Your journeys are going in different directions. It's not like you're wrong. Now, on this journey, you're going to meet some people, new friends, new co-workers, new business associates, and they have really good ideas. You're really good at picking out what doesn't work right now. Like I said, cutting the fat. But others are really good at figuring out what you do need right now. So it's a give and take. Listen to yourself. Trust those instincts that say, yeah, this or that friendship, it's just not, I think I'm hanging on to it out of habit. And because it speaks to a part of me that I'm not really comfortable owning. But as long as this person's around, it's like they rep that part of me, so it's okay. You have to deal with that. And at the same time, leave yourself open and humble enough to take other people's opinions because they will be coming to you with love. And they have some really great ideas. Most of these ideas have to do with stuff that didn't work the first time around. Stuff that you tried, could be work, could be romance. This is a friend who wants to help you with your romantic situation. It's like something you tried to do before and you put a lot of effort into or you were at least really excited about and it didn't work. And once something doesn't work, once something upsets you, it's hard for you to get back on the horse. You get stuck in your head. Why didn't it work? Was it me? Was it them? Then the anger sets in. Is the anger towards me or is it them? Now I'm angry at everybody. Now I hate everybody. Now I've boiled all my blood. Right? So we want to keep our hand as open as possible with the friendships that need to move on from us. When you see the scope of how much needs to be changed around you, whether it's your business situation, your friendships, wherever this fat is that you want to cut, when you see the scope of what you're dealing with, it may upset you. It may make you reach out to someone who can help you organize and keep track of it because it's just too much for you. It's overwhelming. Like, and it's not like all these things fell through the cracks and now I have to fix them. It's just scaling up. And we talked about this a couple of months ago. How one of the things that's really necessary with success is scaling up. And in this situation, the scaling up, the scaling up is so obviously in cutting out the dead weight. Okay? Because that's the only thing that you can do outside of like trusting your fate and being chill enough to receive what's coming to you. The only thing that you can do past what you've already done, put in all the hard work, all the discipline, the long hours, now really the only thing left to do is get rid of that which will keep you from ascending higher. And the easiest way to deal with this, because it is so much, is to be as calm as possible and as organized as possible. Take control of the situation. Put it on your terms. Do as much as you can. Say as little as you can. Now, one of the things that you can do here is be honest with yourself about your role in your work. When you're done looking at everybody else, how they fit or don't fit, if they need to stay or leave, after you're done assessing everybody else in your life, how they fit or don't fit with your emotional needs and your ultimate goals, what you want to do about it, excuse me, then you're going to turn to yourself. Then you're going to start looking at yourself and think, what do the next 5 years look like? What does my job look like? What does my business look like? What does my financial health look like? Will I be obsolete? Am I already doing things that are putting me on the road to deletion? Once you start having that conversation with yourself, it's going to get pretty serious. And that's when it's time for you to ask the big asks. Use your contacts. Talk to the people around you. Your instincts may be telling you it's time to expand, scale up, move, transition into a different field. Your instincts are right on, and they're pretty ruthless this month. So let them turn on you. Look at yourself fully as you are. You won't be disappointed. It's not going to be that kind of thing. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like you wake up and you're like, oh no, I'm such a terrible person. I can't believe all this has happened to me. It's not like that. It's you realizing that time is passing. Sometimes you ignore the passage of time. Sometimes you purposefully ignore the progression in your relationships. Because it's a way to hang on, you know, to what it was, to how you were at the time. So you do a really good job of like just sublimating and ignoring the passage of time and everything that comes with it. Like, is something still viable? Is it not? Is it still useful? Is it not? When that question of being useful turns on you, try to be as kind with yourself as possible. And also try to remember it's not the end. Even if you have to shift into an adjacent field, rework your business plan, look for a new job, whatever iteration of this is, you know, applicable to you. Understand that behind this huge change is a premonitory push. Everybody will feel this same need to dissect and analyze their usefulness, but they're a few years away from that. You're doing it now. And I think this is the real secret to Scorpio success, is that you guys are always a few years ahead. You don't know you're doing it. You give yourself a really hard time in the midst of it because so much of Scorpio insight is built on seeing the truth of oneself and sometimes you get lost in that and you just start beating yourself up and hating yourself and you miss the insight. So once again, you have an opportunity to absorb and, kind of let this insight permeate into your cells. And you see yourself as you are, and you don't hate yourself for it, and you're not mad at yourself, and you're not ashamed, you're not embarrassed. Okay, this is the world as we live in it. This is what I do for a living. Here is where these things are interacting. Here's where I see my usefulness. Here's where I see my longevity. Again, same formula that you're applying to everybody else, but you apply it to yourself after the 18th. Now, asking big asks once you've assessed everyone's viability, perfect. Ask the big asks. That's in your prayer. That's to your bosses. That's to anyone in authority. That's to your business partners, to your vendors, what have you. If you ask, you'll get it. But you got to be intact enough after assessing your own, right? Assessing your own adequacy in what you do. You have to be together enough to even want to ask something. By the end of the month, you're going to figure out an easier way to make money, and you're going to figure out some secrets to how to keep on your health goals, which will help you throughout the year. So we'll talk about that in the extended. And then we're going to talk about reconciliation and how it turns into a huge theme in February for you. So that's all in the extended, which will be on Patreon and on Vimeo. The extendeds are interesting because we're still using the cards, but we're morphing them into more of like a podcast episode. It's really cool. I'm very into it. And here I can already tell, excuse me, where we'll be going in the extended, aside from what I just pointed out, right? This figure out different health goals, all that stuff. The most important thing that I think we need to talk about in the extended, and that you need to hear, because now we're getting into more motivational stuff with the extendeds, what you need to hear going into late January, early February, is that regardless of how your viability is assessed and by who, that doesn't mean anything. That's not the end of the world. There's so many different offshoots from that initial realization that will bring you enormous profit and enormous happiness, because at least it opens the door, a side trap door in your stubbornness to let some new insight in. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about your stubbornness. I love you. I'll see you in the extended. That'll be on Patreon and on Vimeo.